People say it's the future. It's not the future, guys. It's now. It is the present. I've talked to this thing more than I've talked to my wife some days. You know, it's just like me and it will just be going back and forth, because it's like the best business advisor. Think about a problem that there is in the world. At the core of entrepreneurship, that's what it is. Finding a problem and then welcome to another episode of the Refined Real Estate Podcast. Manny here with my co-host Ian. We are real estate investors based out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, but we invest all across North America, and we are here every week to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to be successful investors. Ian here is also a real estate agent here in Halifax. If you need any help, please reach out to him if you're buying or selling, especially any investment properties. We talk about that every week, how important it is to have an investor-focused realtor on your side. Same with the mortgage side. He can help you with those too. Pretty much everything you could possibly need with real estate, Ian's got you. And so this week we have a cool episode. We're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to talk about some cool zoning changes that are happening in Halifax that are kind of on par with what's happening in big cities across Canada. We'll talk about some cool AI stuff, which I know anyone that talks to me or Ian know how friggin' bullish we are on AI and NVIDIA and all that stuff. And then we'll give you guys an update on the 97 unit that we've been working on in Cleveland that's set to close here in about a month and a half. But I guess, Ian, let's just jump right into it, man. So these zoning changes here in Halifax, tell the people about them.
Yeah, so interesting stuff. There have been whispers about this for the last maybe 4 or 5 months. I even think that I projected on a previous podcast that we would see these in around May. So here we are, and they're coming to fruition. So what it is, in short, is... and it's different in each area, but basically every house or property out there is getting a bump up in what their zoning is. And so what the implications to that are, you can put larger buildings or more units or whatever it might be on your lot. So I know that was a strategy we talked about, like if you had some extra money around, just go buy up a few properties in like a Fairview or somewhere just on the outskirts of the city, because we would see these zoning changes. So now we're definitely going to see a big uptick in the amount of like properties that just have a large lot. They're going to be a much more high ticket item. People are going to go in, likely knock the house down, add a 4 unit or an 8 unit or whatever it might be there. So we're going to see a lot of that. So the zoning changes, again, were predicted based on what the government did recently in regards to the tax credits for building new homes, and more so for 4 units and above, 5 units and above. So they axed a lot of the tax on that. And in turn, the intent was that they were going to, Halifax specifically, was going to open up the zoning. So it's a good way to help curb this massive growth that we have in Canada. Like Halifax in the last 5 years has grown like 14% population wise. And the question's always, well, where's the new housing? Yes, we see a lot of these nice big new high rises going in, but those aren't for everyone. A lot of those are quite expensive, and it's not helping this whole affordable housing thing out. So the hope being that once we can increase the supply, hopefully that levels off the demand, and hopefully that means from the government standpoint or point of view that we can start getting more affordable housing. We're not actually, if someone's building, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to build these brand new units, those aren't going to be the affordable units, but the thought being that people in the units that are 20, 30, 40 years old will eventually move to these units, and that will hopefully free up some stock for some more affordable stuff. So no, Airbnb cutting those out wasn't going to be the thing that fixes all of this, but by just being simply able to build a lot more units is definitely going to be huge. So it was passed unanimous unanimously, and yeah, I'm here for it. For those of you that listened to last week's episode with Kevin, that was something we talked about, was doing more development. If I was going to do another larger project here in Halifax, that's probably the route that I would go. And this big rule change definitely makes that more feasible.
Absolutely. Like I think this is a great first step. It's not going to fix everything at once because the housing crisis that we're in, it's taken a while to get to where we're at, and it's going to take a while to get out of it. But this is the first step that we needed to take. Vancouver, across BC, they started doing this a little while back. Same with Toronto. So I think this is a great idea. I really hope that it promotes people to build. That's like the next step, though, because building those big high rises that we see all across the city, that's expensive. It's like extremely expensive. We're talking, 9 figures. Now to build an eightplex, it's still expensive. It's not cheap. It's still a multi-million-dollar affair, but like much more attainable than those gigantic buildings. So smaller guys can get into this space and do well, especially with the perks that the government's kind of giving us. Obviously, we speak so negatively sometimes about the government and all the problems that there is there for good reason. Like they have their issues, but like doing this, giving the perks that they're kind of giving out there, like the fund that they're kind of letting people tap into. I think I forget 74 million, 79 million, something like that. So like 79.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like people being able to tap into that to kind of start the projects, it's very important. And like you said, it's not going to completely fix the problem. Like if someone builds a nice brand new 8-unit building, my rent's not going to be $800. Let me tell you that. It's going to be top of the market. But like it's all, at the end of the day, it's supply and demand. And right now, the supply is just almost nil, so the demand is sky high. So if we can just slowly over time even that out and let the supply catch up to the demand, then hopefully it'll get better. Also, the funny thing is, man, it's like with immigration and people kind of just flocking into here. You said Halifax has grown by 14% in 5 years. That's a lot. That is a lot of people, and it doesn't need to be slowing down. So we're in a tough spot, but I'm very happy with the way that we're moving. And yeah, my buddy Dave actually texted me this morning. Said it's probably a great time for like anybody to start a construction company to start building 6 to 8 unit properties, or even 4 to 8, whatever. I think it's genius. If you can get really proficient and create a nice construction crew to go build those, now is the time. If you have the time and the expertise, he asked me if I would do it. I'm like, I'm kind of busy with other shit, but like that's kind of what people should do. I think any entrepreneurial minded contractor that knows how to build stuff, that's the route that they should go down, because now they can do very well.
Absolutely. So, no, definitely a very positive change. Yeah, we're gonna. If you thought Halifax was exploding before, buckle up, because yeah, you're gonna see a lot of these like smaller homes that that weren't really all that, like weren't moving or weren't highly sought after. They're gonna be gobbled up, and they're gonna be gobbled up at a premium. So yeah, so that's best thing I've seen Halifax do recently from a real estate standpoint. So yeah, happy to see that.
Me too. You know what I'm curious? I was reading the article too there. The people that are against it, I find it very interesting. What's that saying? NIMBYism, not in my backyard. It's like, what do you expect? Like, how are we going to get out of this crisis if we can't build? It's like, I understand, you live in a nice little neighborhood. You don't want it to change. You don't want to deal with construction. You don't want new people coming in there. But you have to look at the greater good here. I forget her name. I think her name's Patty, one of the council ladies. She said some people like in her district, or maybe it was the other guy. I forget. They said some people in their district were against this. It's like people are going to be against anything, like you can come up with the best idea that will help the most people, but there will always be a couple of naysayers that are just negative Nancy's and they don't want this to kind of happen. So I think anyone that's against all this development that's happening in the city, I think you should really take a step back and think to yourself, like, how is this city going to grow? How are we going to get these people that are in the tents into homes? And like, this is how it is. I'll see some comment sections, Ian, of like, let's say like a picture of a new development coming up. and the comments will be like, "Oh, this is not the Halifax that I used to know and love." Blah blah blah. Oh, that place is ugly. It's huge. It's a monstrosity or whatever. Where do you want everybody to just live on the streets? The city is growing. We are expanding. We need housing. So, anyone, this is kind of a little message to anyone out there that's kind of anti development and anti creating housing for whatever reason. I think you need to kind of shift your opinion. You need to open your mind and think about the greater good. And this is a good thing. I think we're in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy to think too, like the only other option is, yeah, and we've mentioned this before, it's like turn off immigration. But that's just going to cause so many other problems that it's
Oh,
like,
massive problems.
this, yeah, so this is the best of the problems to have is, yeah, we have a lot of people that are want to come here, and we want them to come here to continue to grow the economy, continue to grow Nova Scotia, all that stuff. But we need the homes for them, and now this is actually a solution that makes that possible. So yeah, very excited.
We did a whole podcast on just immigration and stuff. If anybody wants to go back and give it a listen, and just how if we stop letting people in, our GDP will just plummet. Immigration, we're in a very weird situation with it. We don't have to go into all that. We spent the whole episode talking about it, but yeah, stopping immigration is not the key. Slowing it down or something, I'm not sure. There's people that are way above our pay grades that are around to kind of fix that problem. But on that note, let's pivot over to the AI stuff, Ian. So like people know we love AI, but actually, let me just quickly tell the people. So NVIDIA is a company that creates GPU chips that AI functions off of. This company, guys, holy smokes. If you got into this company like a year ago, I think you would have doubled your money. And a year prior to that, you would have almost like had like a 300% return. From on Wednesday, they reported their quarterly earnings, and they were amazing, like their first quarter. So the stock price jumped by 5% in a day. And you're probably thinking 5%, that's not that much. 5% of a 2.5 trillion market cap company is a lot. The owner, or not the owner, sorry, the CEO, Jensen Huang, woke up on Thursday $10 billion richer than he was on Tuesday. That's the numbers we're talking about. NVIDIA's market cap is number 3 biggest company in the world. The only companies bigger than it are Microsoft and Apple. And it is slowly catching up to Apple. Apple's about 2.9 and NVIDIA's about 2.5 trillion dollars. And it's just absolutely soaring. And it's all around AI. AI is unreal. People say it's the future. It's not the future, guys. It's now. It is the present. So yeah, man, Ian, tell the people about AI, man. Tell them what they're missing if they're not in on the train yet.
Oh man, yeah. There's not a day goes by that I'm not using like even just like Chat GPT for stuff. Like if I have like a big email or something that I'm sending out, I'll write it and I'll just put it in and say, please write better, and it'll just like fix all the mistakes, just make it sound a little bit better, and it's just like an easy check. It's like spell check, but for the content, for the tone, for everything. So that's like a simple application. Little sneak peek is Manny and I are working on something behind the curtains. May or may not have something to do with real estate and something to do with AI, but we won't get into that. But just a very small peek behind the curtains. So we'll certainly keep you guys updated on that as we go. But yeah, AI, it's certainly not the future. It is the present, and it might be what changes the future. But it's if you can incorporate this stuff in your business now, like it's going to make your life a lot easier. It's like going from handwritten letters to typing it to like going from mailing letters to emailing letters. Like it's that next iteration in the way the world works. And yeah, right now a lot of little silly things that you can use it for, but again, as it progresses, as you can get more comfortable with it, like you can really see how it's going to just change things. And again, right now we're we're not even scratching the surface. Like we're barely even sniffing the surface on this stuff. But especially from like a day-to-day application of how you as an individual can incorporate it. But the more you start learning into it or leaning into it, it's like, yes, internet had like, the .com bust and all that type of stuff. Like AI is not going to have that. It's just going to continue and continue and continue. And yeah, it has like the dark connotation for what it could bring in the future, if not, properly integrate it. But just we don't have to worry about that right now. That's for other people out there to worry about. Right now, we just have to worry about how can we use this to incorporate into our life so we can use things and do things that are done a lot quicker and a lot faster. So again, like I'm doing it to check over a lot of my work before I send it off, or a lot of my whatever it might be, even our market research. Like we've looked up on ChatGPT a lot of stuff on like the Cleveland market, and gotten more information on that, and stats, and just analyzing certain areas, that type of stuff. So it's like a way that it can certainly be used. And I know, Manny, we're just scratching the surface on how much we can integrate it, and that's why yeah, we're taking a little bit of a plunge here to really push that along. So
Yesterday afternoon, our lawyers sent us some documents to kind of overview and to sign off on, and I read a lot of it. And some of the stuff was just over my head, to be honest with you, with legal jargon. So I literally copied and pasted a whole section and put into ChatGPT and said, just simplify this for me, and it just spit it out in just more simpler terms for me to understand. Like these are very simple things that you can use this for, but it can just make your life so much more efficient. And I think this is kind of what like when I brought this topic up to Ian. I think people, especially anyone that listens to our podcast, obviously they're into real estate, but if you're into real estate, you must have some sort of entrepreneurial spirit. You don't want to work 9 to 5. You want to get out of the rat race. You want financial freedom. But I think this is an opportunity now for you guys to start to think outside of the box a little bit, outside of the real estate box, and think about other businesses that you can create around AI. Think about a problem that there is in the world. At the core of entrepreneurship, that's what it is: finding a problem and then creating the solution. I have a good friend of mine. His name's Swami. He's going to be a guest on our podcast here, hopefully in the next, I don't know. He's a real busy guy. But he found a problem within our healthcare system that was pretty glaring. And him and his brother, over the past 2.5, 3 years, they've been working on creating a solution to this problem. And now they're ready to launch. So this solution will help the healthcare system run more efficiently. And as if anybody here in Halifax knows, our healthcare system's,
worse than our housing.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's saying something,
Yeah.
And it's not just Halifax. I hear people in Toronto say the same thing. I'll hear people in every other part of the country say the same thing. In America, the same thing. And what he's created is like a software that's scalable, and he can pick it up and drop it in a different city, in a different country. He said this thing will work in Europe. This thing will work in Russia. So he's created a product here, and now he will be rewarded very handsomely. Like, think about Jeff Bezos when he created Amazon, and look what it's turned into at this point. Anyways, I'm getting kind of off track, but you can create something huge with AI if you can just think about stuff like this. So me and Ian kind of came into a problem. Ian, so I want to tell them about the product so much, but we can't just yet. But this problem that we came across, especially Ian, like when we're doing stuff within real estate, it can be time consuming, whatever. But it's like, this is a problem. Are other investors having a problem? How can I find a solution to this problem? That's how you should be thinking. So we thought, yeah, we have a solution. We can create something that can help all investors, or whatever other field it is. We were talking about construction. If you can somehow incorporate AI into making a construction company run more efficiently, oh my God, think about how much money you save and how much more quickly you could build stuff. So this is just what I would like people to think about. Just think about how can you utilize AI to create something cool, and just be creative. You can talk to ChatGPT. I don't know, Ian, do you have 4.0? Like, do you have the paid version?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'll pull it up on my phone, and me and it will just talk to each other for hours, just brainstorm. And it remembers everything you say, obviously. So it's like, hey, the thing you said earlier, can we expand on it, or I'll have questions about it. And it's so strange, man. It's like I've talked to this thing more than I've talked to my wife some days. It's just like me and it will just be going back and forth, because it's like the best business advisor. You can use it for anything. You can use it for therapy if you're feeling sad. It's a crazy tool. I think it's like $20 a month to have like an on-demand advisor in any aspect of life. I don't think you can come across that in anywhere else in the world. So, and it's just so easily accessible. That's why it grew from like 0 to 100 million users in just a few months. It's really amazing. But yeah, I can talk about AI, till the cows come home. Um, it's advancing every single day. Like, you don't see it on the news as much anymore. There was like a time there, like AI was like the rage and the hype, and people think it may have died down a little bit because it's not on the news, but it's not died down, guys. We're talking exponential growth. Every single week, there's something crazy happening. I saw a TikTok the other day, Ian, about an AI robot that can take someone's head from let's say the person's sick or whatever, they have cancer, but like their head's fine, and they can take it, remove it, and put it on the body of a brain dead person. And they said that this will be able to kind of work within the next 8 years. So it's literally an AI robot taking the head off a person that's mentally fine, but like their body's not, and putting it on the body of someone who's brain dead, but their body's fine. That's wild. That's like that's beyond sci-fi, man. That's like I was telling my buddy, I can see like billionaires just like killing healthy young athletic guys,
Yeah,
and just putting their heads on their bodies. Like, if I could put my head on
yeah,
LeBron's body, are you kidding me? I'd do that all
yeah.
day. um,
That's the premise of Get Out,
yeah,
essentially.
it literally
Yeah,
is. That's what
yeah,
that's what Get Out is, right? And like,
yeah.
and that's just where we're at in this world, man. This is not sci-fi anymore. Like, this is real fi. This is real time, cool stuff happening. And it's so exciting. I think everybody should kind of nerd out on it if they want. Um, But on that note, before we get carried away and talk about AI for an hour, everyone is interested in our 97 unit building. Obviously, we've been hyping it up for the past month or so. So, Ian, what are some updates about this deal we've been working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, still very much so in the due diligence phase. A lot more confirming quotes, getting our engineers in, getting elevator specialists, getting roofing specialists, all that type of stuff. So that's just an ongoing process. So going along with that. We are now to a point now that we have so it's called a term sheet, not like a lending term sheet, but a term sheet from our lawyer. So with this deal, again, just with the way that we structured it, to adhere to the SEC guidelines, to adhere to all the legal side of things. So we now have the correct verbiage and language for actually now approaching investors. Yes, we've been doing kind of soft explanations of what we have going on, but we're now in a position to actually like send out paperwork and show people, hey, this is the project, this is what the returns are, this is what the plan is. So if anyone listening wants to get a little bit more information, we're now able to get a little bit more in detail on that. So that's been exciting. We've got shareholders agreements all done up. We've got like I said, our offering memorandum. So just a summary of what the investment is. That'll be finished by the time this podcast comes out. So if people are interested in investing in something like this, we're getting to a point now where we can begin talking about it. So again, it's not something that we can just go out and just blast and say, yeah, come invest with us. It's more of a, hey guys, we can show you what this project is about, and potentially see if we might be a good fit. So if it is something you're interested in, you guys reach out to us on Instagram, or we've got our numbers up. We've got all that good stuff. So happy to continue those conversations. What all do you see going on with us these days?
Man, I think it's very interesting to just see like how the lawyers like especially with the one lawyer, Kevin, his insight on everything. You know how cautious he is about literally everything from like a legal standpoint. I understand that's his job. You know, he has to be cautious and make sure we do everything legally. But it's like some things, you know, I see so many investors just on Facebook. It's like the wild, wild west. You know, the stuff they post, things they share, like the returns that they just like kind of spit out there. And like that's just not like technically, it's not legal. Like you're not allowed to do any of this stuff. But so many investors do it. So it's interesting just to kind of see. Like Kevin doesn't even want us to give out like our sheet to people. That's what Thomas is saying, right? Like he just wants us to be like very cautious of who we give it to for security purposes. And that this is the first time we've dealt with this kind of deal of this size. So like this is syndication, right? So like it's a little different, but I think that's something investors should really educate themselves on. Just securities rules. Of course, you know, there's a chance nothing might happen. Like we've been operating how we've been operating and nothing's ever happened, but it's just risk mitigation. I think that's something important. We preach how great real estate is because of how relative to other asset classes, it can be risk averse, especially you have so many levers that you can control. So I think when you're raising money and just talking about your deals online, I think everybody should just take some time, you know, get on a call with the lawyer. I'm sure there's some stuff on YouTube. Maybe we can get a lawyer on this call one day and just kind of on our pod and kind of just tell the people about the rules, because, you know, a lot of people are just ignorant to them. I was ignorant to them up until, you know, not too long ago. But other than that, man, the deal, it's going well. I think we're in the stage now. We're ready to raise cash. So we have all the things in place. This is, we've talked about it before. This is for accredited investors or friends and family. And this is a good deal. I think the first few episodes we were talking about how crazy this deal was, craziest deal we've ever seen. And it has the full potential to do that. But we've definitely dialed it back a little bit to make it a little less risky. I think we talked about that on our previous call. You know, we can use max leverage to kind of get this deal done. But that's risky. Like we have friends that utilized max leverage over the past couple of years, and now, you know, we see the positions they're in. So like we want to avoid those. We want to avoid positions like that. So yeah, again, please reach out to either of us or anybody on the VentureCo team. To be honest with you, if you follow us on Instagram, you're aware who our partners are: Thomas Larini, Haran, Nate, Neil, all these guys. You know, you just give us a message. We're all very happy to talk about Cleveland real estate, especially this deal, future deals. The team's growing, more deals are coming. We're already working on another deal potentially after this one. It could be the biggest one yet. So it's like every deal is going to get bigger, guys. So it's like 97 seems big now. When the next one's 150, the next one's 250, the next one's, you know, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. VentureCo is going to be a big thing. So yeah, everything's going good. We're in an exciting place, and we're happy to just share with you guys the journey. And if you need any advice or want to talk anything about specifically, just hit us up. We're here for you guys. So yeah, anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. We definitely nerded out on some AI. We reminded you guys about, you know, just how amazing this tech is and how it's going to change the world. Talked about our 97 unit deal. We're getting close to the finish line on that one. And just about the new regulations in HRM about the building. And I think that's also a great step in the right direction, especially in the housing crisis that we're in. But on that note, I want to thank you guys for listening. I want to please remind you guys also, I said at the start, I'll say it again, Ian, mortgage broker, real estate agent. If you need him for anything in Halifax, he's your guy. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment on all of the platforms: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, even our Instagrams. You know, if you share our Instagram posts, you know, we appreciate that. Or even if you don't do any of that and you listen to our podcast and you gained a little bit of value and you just share it with a friend, that also moves the needle for us, and we'll thank you greatly for that. But on that note, guys, I want to thank you again for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.